time. Trading in the Australian stock market is just getting underway, and it follows wobbles in Europe on Friday night that centred on Deutsche Bank, one of the world's largest banks. Our business editor Ross Greenwood joins me. And Ross, those wobbles are going to set the tone today here as well.
They were looking like that, but it's fair to say also that they've moved pretty quickly in Europe to try and shore up support for the banks across Europe, and in particular Deutsche Bank, which was once the world's largest bank. So this is what happened to Deutsche Bank on Friday night. You can see down 8.5%, €8.54, but over the month down by 26%. It got caught up really when all of the contagion fears about Credit Suisse emerged. But Christine Lagarde, who is the head of the European Central Bank, plus also Olaf Scholz, who is the Chancellor of Germany, when the finance ministers of Europe came together for a meeting, really gave significant support to Deutsche Bank. And to a certain extent, that turned the mood in the United States and even here in Australia. So if we go through the markets as we sit here right now, you can see the market has already opened up by 26 points, the ASX 200. So there's no fears coming through the stock market as we sit here right now. If we go further forward, we can see even with the Australian dollar, for example, it's a little higher. It lost around 0.5% in the Friday session in the United States, 66.5 US cents, and even through our government bonds. And this is pretty important leading into where the Reserve Bank meets. You can see even they've ticked up just that little bit, sitting around 3.22%. So broadly, it is not disastrous news, and any sense of panic coming from this Deutsche Bank situation on Friday is really not being seen here in the Australian markets today.
OK, any good news out there today?
There sure is. I'll tell you what, Premier Investments, Solomon Lew, the retail giant, which includes Dottie's and Portman's and Just Jeans and Smiggle and so many others. Have a look at the profit here, up by 17.6%, 905 million. But look in particular at the dividend. So the dividend itself was raised by 8 cents to 54 cents. But then on top of that, there's a special dividend they've paid of some 16 cents. Here's Premier Investments on the stock market now, early trading, up by 2% already. And really, this is a case whereby even though its online sales were down, people have moved back into the stores both here and around the world where it operates. And so from this point of view, that on top of Solomon Lew with Myer having recovered in terms of its share price and performance has probably been a very, very good year for one of Australia's premier retailers.
OK, one quick one before we move on. The review into the RBA is due to be handed to the Treasurer by Friday this week.
Yes, it is, and it's going to be fascinating to see how quickly we see the response from the government, certainly before the budget. But then it is already being suggested that there may be some separate mechanism to have interest rate decisions made. It's going to be also interesting to see whether there is different representation on the board of the Reserve Bank. The ACTU, for one, is pushing for representation on that board, and certainly many economists, particularly hard-headed so-called hawks who are keen on trying to defeat inflation, they also are going to be part of that representation potentially. But Jim Chalmers called for this, and you would suggest that fairly quickly we're going to see his response, and I would suggest significant changes to the way in which the Reserve Bank communicates and operates.
Ooh, looking forward to that, Ross. Thanks so much. See you soon.